Good morning, class.
Good
Morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
How is everyone doing today? Is everyone doing all right?
Yeah, doing
Yes,
fine,
sir.
sir.
I'm glad that you're all doing well. Welcome to another class in genetics. Today, we are going to be having an introduction to the Punnett square. At the end of the lesson, I am expecting every one of you students to be able to explain the basic terms of genetics, construct a Punnett square for a given situation, and to relate genetics to the appreciation of oneself. But before that, let us all play a game. I'm going to show you a picture of a family, and I want you to tell me what similar traits or characteristics you can observe from the pictures. Let's begin. What similar traits can you observe from this picture? Anyone from the class? Please raise your hand if you want to answer. Okay, Mr. Montes, what can you observe from the picture?
They all have curly hairs.
Yes, you're correct. Thank you very much. Everyone here in the picture have curly hair and it can be seen through their whole family. Now, let's have another picture. Here in this next picture, what do this family all have in common? Please raise your hand if you want to answer. Okay, Mr. Centeno, how about you? What can you observe?
They are tall.
Yes, that's correct. Everyone from this family is tall. Now, these kinds of things, having similar traits or characteristics being passed down through family members, is a very common occurrence. Maybe in your family, you can observe similar traits, such as having the same hair color, eye color, or even the same complexion, or much many more characteristics. However, in this next picture, I want you to observe something that is different. In this picture, what do you think is different from this family than the others that I have shown you? Raise your hand if you want to answer. Okay, Mr. Montes.
Based on my observations, their traits are not correlated to each other.
Yes, very good. The difference in this family picture is that they have very different characteristics, or rather, there is a variety of characteristics. You can see they have different skin colors, different hair color, different hairstyle. But that doesn't mean that they're not family. It just so happens that their genetics work different than other family. Today we are going to be talking about the Punnett square. It is a tool that scientists and geneticists use to determine the possible traits that a child can inherit from their parents. Now, what is a trait? Can anyone from the class read? Okay, Mr. Centeno, please read.
A trait is a observa- observable characteristic that is inherited, passed down from a living things to offspring.
Thank you very much for reading. Now, let's all remember, since a trait is being passed down from parent to offspring, from a mother and a father to a baby, it is not only applicable to human beings. Human traits can be eye color, hair color, blood type, skin color, and much more. But this is also applicable to other organisms. Birds can inherit their wing sizes or their beak shapes from their parents, and plants can inherit the flower colors or the stem length from their parents. Now, there are two types of trait, the dominant and recessive trait. Mr. Gamboa, can you please read the difference between dominant and recessive?
Dominant traits will always override or hide recessive traits, even if only one parent has it. Recessive traits will be hidden by dominant traits, so both parents must have the recessive trait for it to show up.
Thank you very much. Now, there are certain traits in your family that you might be able to observe that is much more common than others. Perhaps majority of your family are tall. Perhaps majority of your family have curly hair. These are dominant traits. Now, traits are written down as letter. These are the alleles. You will get a trait from your mother and another from your father, and it will be written down as 2 letters. They also have 2 traits. So if you can see, this can be from a parent and another parent, but it might vary. Now, an example is brown eyes are dominant over blue eyes, which are recessive. Now in here, I have written down the different possible combinations for having parents with brown eyes or blue eyes. Now, if you both inherited both dominant traits, it will be written down such as this. If you have inherited a dominant trait and a recessive trait, it will be written and symbolized by a capital letter and a lowercase letter. And for recessive traits, it will be written down as 2 lowercase letters. Since these are both dominant, which is brown eyes, it will be symbolized by the brown color. And just the same, here for the recessive trait, the blue eyes, since these are both recessive, it will manifest as blue eyes on the offspring. But here, if there is a dominant trait and a recessive trait, it will manifest as the dominant trait, which is the brown eyes. Now, a Punnett square is a simple tool that scientists and geneticists use to predict the possible outcomes of mixing traits from 2 parents when they have an offspring, like predicting what traits a baby might inherit from its mom and dad. You can see in the right-hand side of your screen an example of a Punnett square. This one is an example for pea plants. Here you can see the possible color of the offspring of a green pea plant and a yellow pea plant. But let's try a much more understandable explanation. But before that, let's familiarize ourselves with some terms. If a parent is homozygous dominant, homo meaning the same, it will be symbolized by 2 capital letters. Heterozygous, meaning different from the word hetero, it will be symbolized by an uppercase and a lowercase letter. And finally, homozygous recessive will be symbolized by 2 lowercase letters. Mr. Ramos, can you please read this example problem?
Brown eyes are heterozygous over blue eyes. Construct a Punnett square for the children's eye color of 2 heterozygous parents.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Ramos. In constructing a Punnett square, you must first write down the traits of the father above and the mother here. As you can see, the problem mentions that they are both heterozygous, meaning they will be symbolized by an uppercase and the lowercase letter. We know that blue is recessive to brown eyes, but both of these parents actually have brown eyes because brown eyes are dominant. Since both of the parents have brown eyes, is it possible for them to have a child that has blue eyes? Well, let us find out. To solve a Punnett square, simply combine the 2 letters that are aligned with each other. Raise your hand if you want to try. Does anyone want to draw in the screen the correct answers for this problem? Please raise your hand if you want to. Okay, Mr. Ramos, please solve this Punnett square. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramos. Let's now check if he has the correct answer. Congrats, Mr. Ramos. You have answered it correctly. We'll simply combine these 2 letters. However, you can see here that they are all in gray color. I want you, class, to determine what color these traits will manifest. What eye colors will these children have? Mr. Gamboa, can you tell me what eye color this genotype represents?
It represents brown colored eyes, sir.
Yes, that's correct. How about this? It has an uppercase B and a lowercase b, so it's a mix of both traits. What color will be manifested? Okay, Mr. Ramos.
It will result in a child with brown eyes.
That's correct. And Mr. Ramos, you should answer as well. this, what will be the color of this offspring?
The result will be a child with blue eyes.
Thank you very much. Everyone who answered is correct. Now these two, as you can see, they are purely homozygous. A homozygous dominant trait will manifest the dominant trait, and a homozygous recessive trait will manifest the recessive trait. These two on the side, however, heterozygous traits will still manifest the dominant trait, which is brown eyes. Now let's try to solve for the phenotypic and genotypic ratio. Now, the phenotype means the trait that has been manifested. So, as you can see, there are only two traits that have been manifested in our problem, brown eyes and blue eyes. To solve for the phenotypic ratio, we must first count how many are present in the problem. We've had 3 brown eyes and 1 blue eye, with a total of 4. To solve for the phenotypic ratio, simply divide the number of the presence of the trait by the total and multiply it to 100. The same goes for the recessive trait for both the dominant and the recessive. Does anyone know what the answer will be to this problem? What percentage of the traits or of the offspring is possible to have brown eyes? Anyone? Mr. Gomboa, do you know the answer? Oh, okay.
75% for the brown eyes.
And how about for the blue eyes?
It will yield 25%.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. So according to this, from the problem earlier, there is a 75% chance for the parents to have a child with brown eyes and 25% to have a child with blue eyes. This is the phenotype. However, the genotype is the internal factors affecting the trait. So regardless if the children can have similar phenotypes of brown eyes, they can have different genotypes. The genotypes is the internal working of a trait or characteristic. In our problem, we have gathered 1 homozygous dominant, 2 heterozygous, and 1 homozygous recessive with a total of 4. It's once again solved for the ratio. The formula is the same. Simply divide the number that you have obtained with the total and multiply to 100. Mr. Gomboa, can you solve once again for this problem?
For the first one, it will be 25% and 50% for the second one and 25% again for the third one.
Yes. That is correct. Now, however, I want all of you, to have a little assessment. Raise your hand if you know the answer, as simply as a review for what we have written down. Mr. Montes, can you show us here? Choose one that you wish to attach to the image. Anything. Which one here is the parent? Which of the symbol is the parent?
Wait. Parent.
Actually, I'm the one. You don't need to draw. I'm going to I'm the one going to attach this. Please tell me where I'm going to attach this.
How you attach? The on the top?
Here. Okay.
Yeah.
How about the offspring? Where should I attach it? Anyone?
Mid.
Okay. Who answered?
Me, sir.
Where will I attach this offspring?
In the middle.
Okay. Up next, a homozygous dominant result. Which of these three will yield a homozygous dominant result. Okay, Mr. Gamboa.
The top left square.
Thank you. Last two. About this, which of this will have a heterozygous recessive? Which of these two? Mr. Centeno.
Bottom right, sir.
And lastly, we have this. I'll answer it myself. Let's submit to check if our answers are correct. Wow, it seems like all of us got the correct answers. Seems like all of you have a very decent understanding of our lesson. But I want us to have a simple reflection. I want you to think of this reflection very thoroughly. Okay. What traits did you inherit from your family? What do you feel about these traits? Please raise your hand if you want to answer. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about your answer, okay? Anyone from the class? Raise your hand if you want to answer, okay? Come on, anyone. Don't be shy. Every answer is correct, okay? We just want to hear what you have reflected from this topic. If you are able to see examples or applications of genetics in real life. Anyone? Okay, Mr. Gamboa.
I inherited blurry eyes from my father and my mother. As you can see, I am wearing glasses, and I feel that it is to be expected because both of them wear glasses as well.
Thank you very much. Now, aside from traits, it's actually a very good answer. Aside from physical manifestations of traits in our appearance, there are other things that can be inherited from parents as well, such as what Mr. Gamboa said, certain medical conditions and health conditions can be inherited from parents. Does anyone else want to share their experience or their answers? Well, it looks like no one has an answer anymore. For me, my reflection in this part of our lesson is about inheriting traits from our parents. In particular, physical appearances. As part of this lesson, I want genetics to be something that you can apply in real life. And after this lesson, I want you to be able to use it to appreciate yourselves. You are lovely. Every part of how you look is a trait once loved by each generation before you. Sometimes we feel insecure about what we look. You might feel insecure about what your hair might look like, about your nose, your face, your body, and other characteristics. But always remember that these are traits that someone else has fallen in love with the past. Perhaps your eyes, the same shape, the same color, is the reason why your mom fell in love with your dad. Perhaps the same smile, the same set of feet is the reason why your grandparents in love with each other. You are proof of love breaking boundaries of time and an amalgamation of everything lovely from your family. Here in my genetics class, even though we have just started this year, I want everyone to realize how important genetics is and how it is much more observable in our daily life. Even we do not notice, there are things that we automatically assume to be true because of this somewhat sense of understanding of our lesson. But as we go ahead, we will be learning more complex topics, much more about health, much more about biology. And I'm very grateful that all of you are participating in class. Next week, we'll meet once again for another lesson. But it seems like today we have no more time, and thank you very much for participating in our class. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.